You can't tell me that a child does not feel more privileged walking into a schoolroom, even if it's raggedy, with loving black teachers who are guiding him, mentoring him, loving him, caressing, holding him, I mean, just really embracing him. You can't tell me he doesn't feel more privileged walking into that space than he feels walking into some of these cold ass penitentiaries on training wheels that we have that we call a public school system. If you go to Chicago right now, you can find about 40 schools full of black and brown kids where there's not one child who can read, write, or do math at grade level. Not one, not one. Thousands of kids, not one. But they all have the lyrics of their favorite rapper memorized. They all, some of them can throw up all the gang signs and all this other stuff, but they don't know, but can't read, can't write, can't do math. So really, what this says to me is this starts with the foundation of the public school system, where they said, okay, we're going to make sure black people stay here. We're going to keep them down here, and we're going to keep our people up here, whites and immigrants up here, black people down here, and we slide right into that. And I would just say you have to reject that. Remember that teacher Marva Collins? Anybody remember? How many of y'all remember Marva Collins? If you don't know Marva Collins, go look Marva Collins up, please. Oh Lord Jesus, Marva, and I get warm fuzzies when I say her name because my mama used to love Marva Collins. Marva Collins was an amazing black woman in Chicago who used to educate kids in the projects better than any private school in the city of Chicago. Marva Collins would take the worst kid that looked like they just wasn't going nowhere and make them into a freaking Rhodes Scholar. That's how good Marva Collins was. And my mama loved her because Marva Collins came to Louisville, where I'm from, and gave a speech at this at the Black Achievers banquet. It was this organization called Black Achievers that gave me my first scholarship when I was coming out of high school. And and she got in there and she was like, "How dare you? How dare you, hoity-toity Negroes, sit around here with your fancy clothes and your fancy suits and drink your wine while our children need us to mobilize and educate them." She railed into them. She went off on them. And my mother loved that because here's the thing. This is the thing, right? The idea of having black people that are no nonsense, that are literally saying, okay, what's the job that needs to get done and are ready to do it? Those are the people that make progress. The bougie types, unfortunately, the boule who sort of blend blackness into these Democrat Republican issues. In many cases, they're not the ones who actually move the needle forward. The whole movement behind Marcus Garvey, from what I understand, a big chunk of it was driven by hardworking people who simply wanted to solve a problem, right? Just people that said, okay, what's the assignment? What do we got to do? How do we build? What are we going to create? Right? So really, the Marva Collinses of the world, that's your answer, that's your solution. And there are a lot of you that are in here that are carrying on that tradition. I just want to encourage you. Like I know Jen is homeschooling half of California right now. Jen might be in there. Say something, Jen, if you're here. And to me, that is much more effective than whatever is happening in these systems. These systems are not working. The evidence is everywhere that it's not working. So let's keep going. All right. So by overcoming centuries of planned ignorance in inferior schools, black educational achievement far exceeded that of newly arriving European immigrants who received first class citizenship with better schools. The 10 million European immigrants who arrived in this country in the decade following the Civil War had an illiteracy rate of approximately 95%.